This video is sponsored by MyBookie. You know what my favorite part about this time of year is, guys? Sweater weather, leaves on the ground, and threes from downtown. That's right, for some it's fall season, but for the rest of us, it's ball season. Put those pumpkin spice lattes aside and grab a beer, because pro and college ball are tipping off, and there's no better way to feel a part of the action than to have a stake in the game with MyBookie. If you're the kind of guy who likes to bet a little to win a lot, try a parlay. For instance, if you like a couple of the big favorites this week, parlays are perfect because they let you bet multiple games together for a much bigger payout. Either way, if you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and go to mybookie.ag because no one gives you more ways to win. The NBA is back in action, and it's time to turn your attention from carving pumpkins to the crazy year of basketball we have ahead of us. The offseason was especially eventful this year, and the league was thrown for a loop. Use your basketball knowledge to prove you have what it takes at mybookie.ag, where they make it easy to play and even easier to get paid. And if you join now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use promo code Theflightmike to activate the offer. That's promo code Theflightmike to double your cash. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. What's going on, guys? Your boy Theflightmike here, and I cannot wait to watch some regular season NBA basketball tonight, but we're all gonna have to do it without the number one overall pick in this year's draft, and that honestly sucks. We've seen this happen a couple times before with Blake Griffin in the 2009 NBA draft, more recently Ben Simmons of the 2016 NBA draft, and hopefully Zion doesn't trend towards the direction of the 2007 number one overall pick of the NBA draft, which is Greg Oden. We've only seen 3 number one overall picks ever in the history of the NBA get injured and miss their regular season NBA debut, and all 3 of those players have had completely different career trajectories. We already know with Greg Oden, he washed out of the NBA due to injury issues, and Blake Griffin was potentially going to be heading down that direction, but we never had that question about Ben Simmons. And a lot of people are starting to wonder if Zion Williamson is trending down the Greg Oden direction without him even having played a game. We already heard a lot of issues about Zion's weight. The guy is huge, and most GMs and executives don't know if he could bear that wear and tear and that weight on his body throughout the regular season. But there's another important issue at hand, more than Zion mania, and that is what I am looking to tackle here today. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Theflightmike here, and if you're new to the channel, you watch a lot of my videos and you see them get recommended to you, but you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, because as soon as I hit 500,000 subscribers, I will be going full-time on YouTube. On top of that, guys, we're doing a giveaway on my Instagram page for a pair of Off-White Air Jordan 1s. I'm going to leave a link to that giveaway in the description down below. All right, so I think I got the intro down to 30 seconds. I read a lot of you guys' comments, so just understand that I am still growing as a creator, and I will always do what it takes to make you guys happy with my content. So let me know in the comment section how that was, and let's get to this video, because a lot of people are completely oblivious and sleeping on the fact that in this offseason, the Lakers and the Pelicans made a huge trade, and a lot of people are only focusing on the fact that the Pelicans brought in Lonzo Ball, not so much on the fact that they brought in Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart as well. And what's really interesting is, just the other day, we saw Jaylen Brown get a huge 4-year, $123 million contract, which, by the way, I'm sorry if you're a Celtic fan, I personally hate that kind of contract. And I'll tell you why I hate this kind of contract, and I'll just briefly touch up on it because most of you guys came here for Brandon Ingram. I hate the type of contract where you pay a player a ton of money and say, we're doing this because of the player we think he's going to be. The Timberwolves did that with Andrew Wiggins, and we all saw how that turned out. And they're still paying for it at this point. You never pay for potential. You never should pay for potential. If anything, they should have let him sit out. They should have let him play this past year on his expiring contract. Worst comes to worst, he either gets offered a boatload of money by another team and you can match it, or you just let him walk in free agency because he's not worth that capital. And in my opinion, he wasn't. But meanwhile, you have the number 2 overall pick, the pick right before him in Brandon Ingram, who's going into his contract year, and he is probably the best restricted free agent of this year's class. And if you ask me, I really think this might be Brandon Ingram's only season with the Pelicans, depending on how they use him, because if he shows enough potential, and he has shown flashes of his potential in the past, there will be another team that really needs a star player that will go out and sign him to a max contract that the Pelicans might not be down for. And the reason why the Pelicans might be willing to let him walk is because if you look at the type of player Brandon Ingram is, he's very similar to the type of player that D'Angelo Russell and Victor Oladipo is. Well, not really D'Angelo Russell, more Victor Oladipo, and that's the type of player that needs the ball in his hands and needs to be the focal point of the offense in order to make a difference. We saw when Victor Oladipo was with the Magic and he had to share the spotlight with other young players of the Magic who were trying to be one of the franchise cornerstones of the Magic at that time, and when he was on the OKC Thunder during Russell Westbrook's first triple-double season where he averaged a triple-double and ended up winning MVP, we saw that he wasn't that much of a difference maker. But we saw that once he got to Indiana and he was given full reign of the offense, he was traded for Paul George. He was pretty much told, hey, you are the replacement for Paul George. We saw him blossom into a star. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with Brandon Ingram. But I don't think that could happen with the Pelicans because, well, if you look at the Pelicans, they have a lot of players that would dominate the ball. Lonzo Ball does his best work with the ball in his hands. I don't think the pairing of Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram was meant to be, because if you look at the possessions that Brandon Ingram is successful in, he needs to have the ball in his hands. He's either creating for himself off of an isolation, or he is creating for his teammates as a very long point forward. Now, this isn't to say that the Pelicans should let Brandon Ingram walk off. If anything, they should do anything to make him try to stay. But there's a much bigger issue at hand, and that's Brandon Ingram proving his value. Now, Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson more or less play the same position. I am a huge believer that they cannot share the court and be their best selves, mainly because, again, Brandon needs the ball in his hands to make a difference, and if he doesn't get into a rhythm, he'll just disappear on the offensive end. I've seen it many times before. The guy needs to make buckets and have the ball in his hands to get going. Sharing the floor with Zion and Lonzo and Drew Holiday might not be the best idea, in my opinion. But I feel like Brandon Ingram could be a superb sixth man for the New Orleans Pelicans if Alvin Gentry coordinates a lineup in such a way. Imagine a lineup that saw Brandon Ingram and JJ Redick coming off of the bench. Imagine a lineup that allowed Brandon Ingram to fully realize his playmaking potential as a ball-dominant forward and is able to get everyone else involved. But the thing is, Brandon Ingram has 6 to 8 weeks to sell the Pelicans on this ability because, once again, the number 1 overall pick is out. So that obviously frees up more playmaking opportunities for Ingram. You're probably going to see Ingram kind of, not fully, but kind of step into the role that Zion was supposed to have, although in a much, much different way. Of course, we know Zion likes to finish with power at the rim. Brandon Ingram could hit shots from the perimeter and has a very nice touch at the rim as well, although he doesn't really finish with power. He finishes more with finesse. Either way, it's hard to deny the fact that this is a make or break season for Brandon Ingram. He's coming off of he's coming on an expiring rookie contract as the former number 2 overall pick in a pretty good draft class that already saw Ben Simmons, the pick before him, and Jaylen Brown, the pick after him, get locked up into long-term deals. Now, I don't think it's the wildest stretch for the Pelicans to bring him back. It will take some work to figure out what the best role for Brandon is. Again, the Pelicans have his restricted free agency rights, which means they can match any offer that he receives. But my question is what his role in this offense is. Now, we have 6 to 8 weeks. He has 6 to 8 weeks in order to prove to the Pelicans that he could fit into this team. And I personally don't see a phenomenal fit for him, but I do hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I love the player. I love his game. I do see the potential. I do see the ceiling to become a perennial NBA All-Star, but this is the year that he has to sell other teams on his potential. So let me know in the comment section down below, guys. What do you think? Do you think Brandon Ingram belongs with the New Orleans Pelicans? Do you think it's better that he comes off of the bench as a sixth man in order to really be able to get the most out of his abilities to set up other teammates and score for himself? Let's not forget how long he is and his defensive potential as well. And at the end of the day, do you think by the end of this year, the New Orleans Pelicans will try to re-sign Brandon Ingram, despite it not being the 100% best fit for him? If you believe that. If you enjoy the content, be sure to drop a like. I want to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters, IC Jaylen Brown, Twitter, and Grant. If you made it this far, say I took flight. I'm your boy, Theflightmike, and I'll catch you guys in the next upload.